Please, God.
This is God.
I'm Dave Weiner of ET Online, and we are here at the Elm Street house with none other than Robert Englund and Heather Langenkamp from the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. How does it feel to be back here?
It's strange because I'm looking at the Johnny Depp house across the street there at the same time. I can imagine Johnny in the window calling like Romeo to his Juliet here in the upstairs window. I remember that night very well.
We shot so much on this very front lawn here too. That's what I remember, walking and prancing around these trees and trying to look scared. And
it was the summer of the...
we did more outside than inside,
Yeah.
because the inside often was a set, so our location here was really spent outside a lot. The memories I have most are of Johnny climbing up that rose trellis and climbing in that window right there, and that was all real, and we did that here. Anything to do with the front porch and Marge getting sucked through the window, we did that here. So the memories here are actually some of my strongest. Once you get on the sound stages, you're working in such a different way. I always find on the real place, you have kind of a slower and, it's a more organic.
The house is iconic as the glove or the sweater, and I've seen them as big as 5 feet in diameter models of the home. The first one I think I saw was popsicle sticks.
Popsicle sticks,
and then
now they're constructed
now
art
beautifully,
pieces.
done with foam and actually made, like a incredible stuff.
Well, we're coming up on the 30-year anniversary of this incredible
Oh my
franchise.
God.
Did you ever think back in 1984 that you would be standing here 30 years later, that this would go beyond one movie, that you'd even finish the first shoot for the first film?
I think we knew we were onto something good, Heather. Towards the end there, I think all of us kind of knew we'd made a good film, but I don't think any of us, and I don't think Wes did or anybody thought that this would be the iconic franchise that it's become, and set the bar for, and certainly been imitated, which I guess is a form of flattery, just about more than any other horror film outside of, Dracula probably.
I was such a short-range thinker in those days. I just was so happy to have a job, and even when they called for the sequels, even the third one and then the seventh one for me, but certainly every sequel, I was always slightly surprised that they were going to go for one more round. It never really hit me that we had this franchise until like the third movie, and then Robert was making them every year, it seemed like.
Well, I had gone to Europe to promote V, and I was there the same time that the first Nightmare was taking off, and it actually took off bigger there than it did here, because I think New Line just released it on the East Coast originally, whereas there it was all over the country in the UK and in Great Britain, and I really could hear the jungle drums beating. I could really sense that it was something special.
Your character is now it's a modern day horror icon. That must be a bit surreal to be ranked up there with Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman.
Well, it's an honor. Anytime a gentleman such as yourself or anybody else, a journalist, puts me in the same paragraph or breath with Karloff or those gentlemen, I'm really honored, and I
But he
think,
deserves it.
Well,
He's
no,
so
you know what
good
it
at
is,
that
though.
job.
Well,
He was so
I think
brilliant.
I think it was a horror film for the last 20 years of the 20th century, and the first 10 years of the millennium, and I also think that I reap that honor as a result of being a kind of logo for the entire experience of the entire franchise, all 8 films. All of what they've done over the years to modify and to improve the makeup, and the original concept by Wes that has carried that through. That's who I owe, 99% to. I brought the sort of physicality, but that, and I dance him a little bit because he does sort of occupy this ether, this other world, this subconsciousness of his potential victims. But
let me also
it is the
interrupt here.
movies themselves that are the reason the thing
There's
is so
just not
big.
that many actors who give themselves to their character in a way that Robert has, because I think a lot of people would look over 30 years and be proud of the character they created, but Robert has actually gone so far beyond that in just the way he will be present for events so that he can satisfy the fans' desire not only to be with him and see him. He's so charming. it's a way you can hear stories about these films. That's all people want, is to feel closer.
Well, speaking of the fans and talking about the enduring nature of your character, Nancy Thompson, you made a documentary about your character.
Which I highly recommend.
No, I did, because, well, I had been traveling, following Robert basically around the world, and I just thought to myself, Robert is this icon, and so where does that put Nancy? Is she, how does she relate to this, icon, and what does that mean about America, and feminism, and all those like big social questions that we ask about movies from time to time, and so I tried to answer those questions, and it's called I Am Nancy, because I know only a small fraction of what it must be like for Robert when I go and have to, always be talking about this character. And it's, 30 years of talking about her. So I decided to put something down on
Heather also
celluloid.
produced an extraordinary documentary called Never Sleep Again.
Mm-hmm. Probably my favorite moment of the entire film was when you want to get something signed by Robert, because you've never had anything signed before. So you go around this convention and you find some pretty priceless items and just rip open the boxes. Rip them open.
I know, everyone laughs so hard when they see that moment in film. Actually, that was a really genuine moment at that time. I really was under the gun and I just wanted to get this Freddy doll out. And then the minute I started doing it, there was like shocked reactions around me. I realized that I had just done something really terrible. So we made sure to really feature that horror of that moment of ripping open the pristine box.
You watch American Pickers, they'll tell you, don't destroy the box. When I go off, to meet the fans or to do a Q&A or to go to a film festival now, it's a huge event. It's really amazing and it's wonderful. And it's not just that I want to get the love back or the free airline tickets. It's actually a real important demographic now that needs to be, what's the line from Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman? Respect needs to be paid.
Thank you so much for coming back home.
Our loving home.
And we really appreciate it, and we congratulate you on 30 years.
Well, thank you very much. Is that the Nightmare on Elm Street windmill over there? Hi, I'm Robert Englund, a.k.a. Freddy Krueger.
And I'm Heather Langenkamp, a.k.a. Nancy Thompson.
And we're here at the original Elm Street house
for E.T. Online.